Todd Vandermyde. We're here in the Illinois State Capitol. This is the same week that the U.S. Supreme Court heard the case of the city of Chicago versus McDonald. Give us your thoughts on that case. What are the issues involved as far as you understand them?
Well, the two big issues are, one, does the Second Amendment, the right to own a firearm, apply against the states, and does it bind the states, and what kind of legislative matters they can regulate that right? So that's the incorporation doctrine, and working through the 14th Amendment, does this confer an individual right through the 14th Amendment that, binds or restricts what state and local governments can do in regulating that right? The second issue is that if that is in case the fact, does the Chicago handgun ban, like the DC handgun ban, violate your right to own a firearm? So those are the two big issues that are in front of the court.
So if I understand what you just said, the one issue would be that the federal Constitution applies across the land, and that local municipalities or states cannot pass a bill that would violate provisions of the Constitution?
Exactly, just like the First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment, that municipal government, states are very restricted in how they curtail free speech, the right to assemble, your freedom from warrantless searches, things of that nature.
And in your job, you would have to know both sides of the argument. What is being argued on the opposing side for the city of Chicago?
Well, at the court this week, they tried to argue that Heller was decided wrong. If you read all their briefs, that's what they argue. And they want to argue that they should have great latitude to regulate the ownership or possession and use of firearms. But that argument fell hollow on the court, because then they're trying to say that you would have a strict right against the federal government, but you would have kind of a shadow right that would apply to the states. Yes, it's a right, but only insofar as what the state would allow, which would be a hollow meaning to the amendment. We don't treat the First Amendment that way. We don't treat the Fourth Amendment that way. We don't treat the Fifth Amendment that way. Those individual rights are not treated that way. And so our argument before the court was in for a penny, in for a pound. If you do find the right to own a firearm is imposed as a constitutional right, and there is no geography clause in the Constitution.
Another issue, gun issue that's been making the rounds here in the state capitol is concealed carry. A lot of states allow people, if they're to carry a concealed weapon on them. There's some provisions in there. Tell us where that stands and your thoughts on that issue.
Well, 48 states allow private citizens, one way or another, to obtain a permit to carry a concealed firearm. And now Illinois is one of the last two states that doesn't have anything. And so what we're trying to do is advance a bill that would change it and make Illinois the 49th state. Bill came out of committee this week. We're consistently working on it. We're gaining more and more support from law enforcement, and we think that the ruling in McDonald may have a direct impact on this.
All right, Todd Vandermyde, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.